All right, the boys are back. Leafs talk. We probably took too many games off. What do you think? How was Cabo?
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Looked pretty good.
Can I tell you? Wish I had taken more off and stayed there for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And just been one of those like white guys on the beach that's like, what's this guy doing here? And I just be there forever, sunburnt, just sun kissed. I would stay there forever. But yeah,
I spent the same amount of money to go to Ottawa last minute as you spent to fly to Cabo
100%.
because of the weather in Ontario.
Dude, I
I
got out right before the storm happened. Not one issue. Came home, landed at Pearson Airport, through customs, baggage, golf clubs, check bag, everything, in and out of Pearson Airport in an hour. So things were perfectly. It was a pretty good trip.
My airport experience was okay, minus the price and the fact that I sat behind people with BO. And I'm just a strong believer. Like, I have sensitive smell. Look at the schnoz. Like, look at that thing. Like, it's a massive. You can put almonds inside those nostrils,
Yeah.
Probably chocolate covered almonds. I got a sensitive sense of smell. Perfume, too heavy perfume, BO, they get to me in general. But the couple in front of me, I really thought maybe when we land this plane, there's going to be police in the terminal waiting for them, just ready to just cough them and take it away. I thought for sure. I had full Karen brain. I just wanted to be like that meme, the guy who's on his phone, like just watching those people. Take them away. This isn't right. That's not fair that you can get on a plane with BO. Somebody's got to stop you. There should be like a wash station almost. Like you're trying to go to the airport and they go, hey, you got to go in here.
Like before you get in a pool.
Yeah.
You got to have a shower.
Like, yeah. If you got to shower before you get in a pool, you should have to shower before you get on an airplane. Like, it wasn't right. $600 to sit behind two stinky people. Just not fair. Anyway, I thought it was going to be a stinky performance from the Leafs tonight. The first period was just, like you called it, that was some vintage PB Whack Boy stuff where they show up, they look flat, the crowd is dead, the Blues go up 2-0, and you think, ugh, this is going to be a slog. You and I were texting about how amazing the World Junior game was last night and just how fun and crazy and up and down it was when we're watching Bedard, and all of a sudden a weird goal goes in, the second one where it goes off a Kerfoot and off a Shen, and there was a soft one that's a short-handed goal, and I'm thinking awful, awful night. I got to tell you, I was really impressed with the Leafs tonight. I thought they deserved the 2.
Yeah. Can I start it off with a hot take?
Yeah, give it to me. Of course.
I absolutely love the shootout. I love the shootout.
Buddy,
so much.
Why is that a hot take? I've told you, I'm on team shootout as well. Like
shootout is so, like, in the regular season, you're trying to decide a game. It's so exciting to watch these guys, these creative hockey players, get a one-on-one chance at the goalie. And it's a completely different thing than a breakaway. Like, it really is. It's not in the heat of the moment. You have to think about it. You have to go out there. You stand there. Everybody's looking at you, and you have to show off your hands. And there were some really nice goals. That Matthews goal, Binnington legitimately stood no chance.
I was just going to say, which one of those 4 was your favorite? Because I actually think the Marner one was, just because I can tell you that was the most embarrassing goal for the goalie. Like, that was...
Well, he was so embarrassed. He's like, oh, he stopped. He stopped. It's like, buddy, he just danced you out of your pants, pal. Like,
I thought Binnington was going to do his classic idiot Binnington thing and skate towards somebody and try to start something. And I went, please don't do this, Jordan. Please, for the love of God, just stay in your net. You're not going to fight anybody. One of these days, honestly, he's going to try to come out of his net to scrap someone, and he's going to get intercepted like a streaker by a security guard, but that security guard is going to be Craig Berube, and he's just going to go, I've had enough of this shit. Like, you're going down to the ground, and he's just going to scrap him out. Like, Craig Berube was a real tough guy. He's not going to keep having this from Jordan Binnington. He's already laid down the law, and he's just, you can tell he's on a razor's edge with this guy.
We had Doug Armstrong on Kipper and Bourne today, and Kipper asked him, he's like, I'm pissed off that your coach has neutered Binnington because he was one of my favorite guys to watch in the league. And Armstrong was like, I'll text him to say that, but I'm not going to tell him to his face.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, man. Berube, still toughest guy in the league if he puts on the skates, 100%.
Dude, he's got just ultimate tough guy face. Like, Berube is the classic, if you're having too many drinks at the bar and you're just being a loudmouth and having fun with the boys, and you look across and you make eye contact with that guy and he's looking at you, it's time to leave the bar.
Get the check.
The biggest
check, please.
Check, please. No going up to him going, "What's up, buddy? Why are you so mad?" You're dead. You're dead, man. Don't do that to Craig Berube. That's a quick death sentence. But anyway, I love the shootout too, man. I got zero problem with it because again, most games get settled in 3-on-3 anyways. It's just a regular season thing. No one wants to see actual big games get settled with it. And I even understand from the standpoint of the World Cup where guys will, they won't be able to last, right? They just cannot figure that out from a realistic standpoint. But even then, I feel cheated when a team wins in a World Cup game or in a World Juniors game. But in a regular season hockey game,
awesome.
Yeah, I was rooting for it to get there.
Me too. But by the end of that 3-on-3, I was like, the Leafs haven't had one of these yet this year. Let's see what they can do. And I actually think outside of Matthews' backhand, which is just right after my heart, it's my favorite move in the game. It's just made it look easy. The Braden Shen goal is that's classic. Yeah. What you should do every single time, where you should just fly down top speed and shoot it as hard as you can above the blocker. That's like that's the number one shot. That's the best shot in the game. That's what you should do every time on a breakaway or on a penalty shot. And he did it. And he scored. They won the game. I
like the Buchnevich. I love just anytime you can get a goalie 5-hole like that, just where
he bites, eh?
Well, it's hard with that though, man. It's hard. Like a shootout.
He tore his ACL. He almost tore his ACL. He bit so hard.
Come on, man. Look how talented these shooters are.
Yeah, I know.
That's impossible. That is impossible when guys can stick handle this way. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. You're used to just guys coming down and ripping it the way that Shen did. But man, some of these dudes, when it looks bad and you over stick handle and the goalie doesn't bite and he's able to get a piece of it, you go, just shoot it in the net. But to me, no, the multiple moves that some of these guys can make now, it's out of this world. It makes me think about Connor Bedard. He's going to score on every single penalty shot. If he ever gets into shootouts, he's going to go 100%. There's no way that
it will never get to a shootout though, because he will score every single 3-on-3 because he's the greatest hockey player to ever grace the ice. We're just horned up for Bedard.
I'm so obsessed, and I know I'm just being a casual right now. There's Regina Pats fans. There's people in Vegas that are like, yeah, shut up. Let me just enjoy this breakout. Let me just enjoy this kid for the supernova that he is. Merrick said he's new Forsberg today, and I went, that actually feels right. I really liked that comparison. And
I'm not going to throw my boy Merrick under the bus. He's just nowhere near as physical.
No, he's not.
Forsberg was like
as physical.
Forsberg was a big, strong, physical presence. Like to me, he's way more like Kane, or way more like that. He reminds me way more
body type wise, yes, but no, the way that he moves, like the speed in which he moves on the ice, and the way that he can just kind of freeze guys with his puck handling and just move a little differently. There's certain guys. This is what I love about dudes like Connor Bedard. This is such an I knew this was going to be a sloppy Leafs talk, so everybody shut up, okay? Everybody shut up and no bitching. 5 stars. Go Leaf 5 stars for the fellas. This is going to be sloppy. There's certain hockey now. There are so many guys that do the exact same thing, right? So many guys can just skate well, kind of have some offensive game, similar size. That's pretty much it, right? Be very responsible, make the right play, so forth and so on. There's a couple guys who just move a little differently and they stand out, right? Where they can just create for themselves in a different way. And he's just one of those dudes where you can't really gauge how fast he's moving and the way he's moving. And it just, in a sport where there's a lot of the same, he is just the most exciting thing. That's why he cannot go to the Ducks. I will never see him at 10:30 at night in the Honda Arena. He cannot go to San Jose. I'll never see him 10:30 at the Shark Tank. It's just not going to happen. I don't want to see him in Mullet Arena in front of 8,000 people who have no idea what's going on with him. He's got to go to Philly or Chicago. He's got to go to one of those fan bases.
Send him there over Montreal, pal.
Well, yeah, but I'd actually rather him go to Montreal. That's my hot take.
I'd rather stock. All right, let's go. Let's talk about the game.
I'd rather see him in Montreal than have him buried away in the no man's land of Anaheim, where they're going.
Agree to disagree. Agree to disagree.
It's a playoff game. Should we go? I don't think so. I'm not really sure. No, yeah. Fold the Ducks, fold the Sharks, fold all those teams. You gave it a shot. Fold the Yotes. Should be a 26 team league. Anyways, the Leafs, a team that matters. Okay, a team that matters. This is why I was really, really impressed tonight. They fall down those 2 goals, and you could say Babs start on time, blah blah blah, right? Sure, but they battled back, and there was 2 things. Well, 3. And I'll let you pick whichever one you want to start with first. the top line just being so incredibly dominant, and you can't even pick out which guy was best. I do think it was Nylander tonight. The third line having just a really impressive game, or the last one, the team defense, once again, showing up in the third period where St. Louis, I think, had one shot until maybe the final 3 minutes, and everything that they got was clappers from the outside. There was nothing high danger. They just basically let Samsonov take the third period off.
I think we got to eat it on the third line a little bit because you and I have been pretty critical of all. Well, not David Camp, of course. Fair. Not David Camp, of course, our king,
no, our
who we would never
Savior.
we'd never be critical of, but particularly Alex Kerfoot and Pierre Engvall, who are neither of our favorite players in the Leafs. Both of them, basically since we took vacation, have been excellent for the Leafs. And again tonight, we finally get off their back to didn't have to watch Leafs talk and have us crap all over them. They're finally free for a couple games, and they've really responded. And listen, that line is really, really good in the defensive zone and taking away pucks, and it has a lot to do with how rangy Kampf is, how smart in the defensive zone Kerfoot is, and just how fast Engvall is. It's a good mix of guys, and if they're contributing a little bit offensively, it's a really good unit for the Leafs. And I hate to say it, but now you can I see both ways of this, because they were good last year in the regular season too. And then when it came down to the playoffs, you know what happened. The bottom six or Tampa caved in the Leafs bottom six. And that was one of the big differences in the series, in a really close series. But you can convince yourself once again, if you're Kyle Dubas, and I'm sure he won't, but he might, that it's good enough to head into the playoffs with this as your third line again. And I think that's sort of the balance that's going on in my head as well, because they have some nights where they're really bad, but they've been good for a long stretch here. They've had success in this year and last year. It's a tough one because I like what I've seen from them, but I also know what happens when they're playing Tampa Bay, who they're locked again to play in the first round again this year. So which side of it do you land on?
There's nothing in the regular season that's going to convince me that third line is workable in the playoffs. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. It's just facts are facts. The Leafs got outscored 3-10 in depth scoring in the playoffs. Pierre Engvall has never scored in 17 playoff games. Okay. I don't care.
17 playoff games?
Yeah, bro. This is what I'm saying. We get so locked in the moment sometimes with this team, and people are so just roller coaster ridey with the waves of this. Here's how I feel about Engvall. It's not going to change. It's just not going to change. He's not a playoff player. He is not the kind of guy that I want to see in a playoff series. You know why? Because he's afraid of the physical stuff, and he's not going to go to the tough areas. Guess what? You know where he scored that first goal tonight? In front of the net on a beautiful tip. When have you ever seen Engvall score that goal before?
Maybe he's a new man.
No, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm not getting convinced because of regular season games. I had Chris Pronger on my podcast today, okay? You know what he said?
What does he know about playoff hockey?
Nothing matters in the regular season. It's all about how these guys respond in the playoffs. And I know that that's kind of a weird thing to say on a post-game show that we do throughout the regular season, but man, that was legitimately the biggest difference between them and Tampa last year. Tampa had identity in their bottom six, guys who could score for them. And the Leafs did have 5 goals, but 2 of them were empty netters. 2 of them were Mikheyev empty netters. And he was a guy that legitimately in this year is probably in their top 6. And he was always kind of a floater, mid-6 guy, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you need to see with these guys that is going to tell you that all of a sudden you're going to have playoff success with them. It's not going to happen. Kerfoot has actually done it in the playoffs a little bit at least. But Engvall, no. You can show me all the analytics from the regular season about what a good defensive player that he is. You can show me all the charts that say he's a fine player. He can have a night like that where he tantalizes you with the speed. He's a flawed guy, and to me, he's just not somebody that you want in the postseason. And also, you know that I'm not going to say that. That's talking out of school. I've heard some whispery things, let's just say, all right, about how things were handled during last year's playoff run in terms of preparation for certain things from certain guys. And maybe, just maybe, he was in that category of said guys, okay? I can't. There's nothing he's going to do in the regular season. If he does it in the playoffs and he goes out there and he scores some goals and he's on this team, I'll eat all the crow in the universe, but I will never capitulate in regular season games on Pierre Engvall. It's not going to happen, dog. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And he's, like you said, he's played 17 playoff games, which feels like so many. And he's got 0 goals, so it's hard. And listen, his whole game is not goals, so it's not like it's like Austin Matthews or John Tavares or all these guys have 0 goals. It's his game is not to be scoring constantly. But what do you always talk about with these playoff series? And you always talk about these guys that come out of the woodwork in your bottom 6. And listen, look at all these big games. Last year, Game 7 versus the Leafs. Who was it that scored both the goals? Was it one of their big boys? It was Nick Paul in the bottom 6. You look at think of, like Max Talbot, Fernando Pesce, like it's all these guys that like are the unsung guys that come up with a big goal. Yeah, and for him to have legitimately 0, listen, this is so stupid. Like you said, it's stupid to do this on a post-game show. I understand that, but like I don't.
No, it's not stupid because they were bombed tonight. They were legitimately sick. Like they drove play all night long. They were all over the ice. They were making plays. I love that. I got to give Kerfoot credit, especially that. Hey, for a guy that doesn't have really any type of offensive profile, he has just figured out, hey, I just got to put the puck towards the net. You know, like I got to stop overthinking it. At
all times.
I got to stop double clutching it. You know who he is? He's the guy that plays the NHL. Like he's the guy that plays NHL that can't actually work the stick and can't actually do any moves and do any nice shots. So the only strategy is just like net.
Like when you used to play me.
Yeah. And don't expose me like that. But yeah, Kerfoot is me in that way, where it's just, hey, if you fire 30 on there, you're going to maybe get 1 or 2 of them. And I respect it. I respect what he's done. I respect the adjustment. I know what Kampf is. I believe in Kampf. I just, I'm not trying to be a jerk about the Engvall thing. He played a great game tonight. He's played really great lately. I think that he's got, I wrote it down, what his point and goal streak is recently.
I think he's got 6 game point streak. It's close to 7, maybe.
I think it's 5 of 6. I wrote it down. Yeah.
But he's been
no, it is a 6 game point streak. 5 goals in his last 10.
So he's been producing. And listen, that's great in the regular season. Yeah. But if the Leafs went out and acquired a guy that's more of a playoff player and replaced him right away with it, nobody would be heartbroken.
I'm telling you right now that this is going to be one of my takes heading into the postseason. If I'm the Leafs, I 100% try to flip Engvall to somebody and use that money in a trade. Use his ability, try to get him to go somewhere. He's a fairly youngish player. He's on a cheapish contract. You probably can get him done longer term on something that isn't crazy. He is a good, fine regular season player. He's a frustrating guy at times. He's always going to leave you wanting. To me, Sam, the Leafs are never going to have real bite in their top 6. I still think that when they're building this roster, they're going to have to find ways to have a little bit more of that come playoff time. And that is something that has to change. I still believe that you need some guys that win some battles down low and are tough to play against over the course of a 7-game series and give you something a little bit different. And I think that guys like Engvall, if you did a secret poll around the NHL of, hey, who's the hardest guys to play against? Where do you think he comes in? You know,
I think the better poll would be to ask, who are your favorite guys to play against?
That's what I'm saying. It's just like,
he'd be in the top 10.
He's in the polar ends of it.
So do you want to talk about the top line?
Well,
because I
think is the story, even though Nylander was amazing tonight. I got 2 angles on it.
Well, Willie's he's the Leafs best player by far right now. Like there's just, to me, there's no question that his dominance offensively, like he's taken, people were like always wanting Willie Nylander to take a step. He's taken 4 steps up the stairs. Like he's gone to a level that I wasn't the biggest Willie Nylander defender, but I was never a guy that was like a pure hater on the guy.
No, I don't
but
think
he's gone. No, but he's gone to a level that I didn't think he had in him. Like this stretch for the last, I guess, pretty much since the start of the season, but specifically over the last month, he has been playing better than I ever imagined him to be playing. He's definitely been the least best player for that time.
Here's the thing, bro. Marner still has obviously had the best season. I'm not going to overreact and shift that.
Statistically? Or just totally?
No, just total. I think Marner's had the best season.
I think that's fair.
Overall. Mm-hmm. And I think that Matthews is the team's best player.
Mm-hmm.
But Nylander has like the fact that you could debate it with those 2 guys right now is insane. Like he's got more points and he's got more goals than both of those guys.
It's crazy.
He's leading the Leafs in points. I was thinking about this tonight. So right now, crap, I don't have it in front of me. Actually, I think I might have it in a tab in front of me. Heading into tonight, he was like, I think 17th in scoring. Yeah, tied for 17th in scoring. He scored 3 points tonight. That puts him ahead of Sid this season. Like
Yeah,
that puts him right there with Nugent Hopkins, who he's definitely better than, even though Nugent Hopkins is actually having kind of like a super underrated season. That puts him right there with literally if things kind of stay flat tonight. I know Ovechkin scored some points. I'd have to see it. So this is kind of a weird one to try to be doing on the fly, but he's probably going to be top 10 in points tonight.
No, what you can say is he's in the upper echelon of the elite players in the best league in the world. Like he's been unbelievable.
He's going to be top 10 in points. And I don't think he's one of the best 10 players on the planet. Like I think that's a bit of a stretch.
For sure.
But it is kind of interesting to think about if you were drafting players around the league right now and you needed to win a Stanley Cup based on what you've seen through the first half of the season. I would be really curious where a guy like Nylander would start to slot in, especially given, dude, he actually has showed up in a lot of these playoff games. He does look like he's unlocked a completely different level. That shot tonight, that goal was holy shit, man. So you're doing that now? Like that's who you are? You're this guy now? And I actually love it because Matthews and Bunting can both go win like puck battles and they can get it from behind the net out in front to Nylander. And now he's just ripping it as though he thinks he's Austin Matthews all of a sudden. No, man, he's brilliant.
Total package. His passing is unbelievable. It's always been a super underrated part of his game. That pass he made to Matthews, cross seam, and then Matthews that off balance wrister, which like if anybody that wasn't Austin Matthews tried to do that, they would have broken their ankle catching a rut. The edge work on that's ridiculous, and they get that much power on it. Top cheese, short side. It's a ridiculous play. Like that line has been really unbelievable. And then you start looking now down at the second line, where it seems like their power has been sucked out offensively. And
a little bit.
It like, I think a lot of it has to do with Tavares is slowed down big time. I thought he had a couple good chances tonight, but I just don't think he has the offensive punch that he did earlier the year. Marner still looks very good, still flying through the zone, and Yarncroc. But to me, that line needs a wake-up call of a guy that's better than Yarncroc. And, that's where you're going to have to, like, you got to keep Willie Matthews and Bunting together for a long period of time now.
Yeah.
But, like, it just goes back to the same conversation we've had. Like, that line's elite defensively, Tavares, Marner, and Yarncroc, but they're not really doing much offensively. Like, if you can get somebody for that left wing, I know we beat the drum to death, but, God, those top two lines with not an elite, but, like, a good scoring left winger, that just takes you to a whole nother level, man.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I often think about Timo Meier and whether he would be a fit there. I am curious what Nyes is going to bring. And dude, honestly, the only reason I'm so curious on Nyes, and I know you hate this conversation, but when guys like Elliot Friedman say that he's essentially untouchable, when guys like Mike Futa say he's one of the best live viewings that he's ever seen in his lifetime of scouting, it's hard not to wonder what he is. Like, it's too much expectation for him this season. I know, I get what you're saying, but yeah, I do think that given where the Leafs have been at with not being able to hit on high-end guys outside of the core since the core, right? The closest thing that they've had to hitting on high-end dudes has been Sandin and Liljegren, and I even had
Pontus Holmberg.
Yeah, of course, Holmberg. But yeah, Holmberg is like Bunting, where they're like, he's a rookie, and he's a rookie. He's like, I'm 28 years old.
I've been playing against men since I was 14.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was a leading scorer in the SHL 3 years in a row. Yeah, no. I would love to see it. It's so interesting to me because this team is so good.
No, we'll just pause on that for a second.
But yeah.
you have to agree that holding a spot on the second line
I'm not saying
of a cup but that's what a lot of the conversation, it's like they want to hold that spot. It's like that is the most insane thing in the world to me.
Yeah,
like
he can play down the lineup.
Yeah, you can hold Zach Aston Reese's spot for him. How's that sound? And then if he plays well, maybe you elevate him then. But like to be like, we're going to put him in there in a cup run with your general manager with no contract for the next year, your best player in franchise history with 1 year left. Like, it's just insane to me that they would do that.
Hey, listen, I get it. Where I'm at with this team is the way that I think about the draft. And I've said this before, get the best player available. Get the best player available to you. To me, I'd love to see them try to add one or two things that it would be Because, man, I go back and forth, honestly. I watched a game like tonight, and the blue line felt soft and a bit small, right?
Mhm.
There were a couple moments where St. Louis
Liljegren and
got the puck.
Sandin
Yeah,
got caved in a couple shifts, no doubt.
and guess what? There have been some nights where, like, Morgan Rielly still hasn't been fair. Like, he hasn't been the Morgan Rielly of the past, or maybe he has been, and that's the issue. I don't know, but it hasn't been exactly the greatest experience with Mo so far this year. And I know he's working his way back from injury, so people should be patient. He's not getting the cookies playing on that top power play where they're going to 5 forwards. That got scored on, by the way, tonight.
Can I say something quickly about Rielly before we move past it?
Yep.
There's one thing that I really love about his game, and it was something that I had forgotten about, but it's his ability to keep pucks at the line. He is so good at that.
Yeah,
he did it twice tonight, where it's just the puck's going close to the blue line, and he makes a good like a knocks it out of the air, keeps it in, and he just walks the line and gets it back down deep. He just loves to dust it off. That one, he's coming down the middle of the ice. He's got the puck at the top of the circle, almost at the hash marks, and then he cuts it to the backhand. I'm like, just shoot the puck, man. Like, he really is an overthinker, but man, there's some parts of his games that you just absolutely love. The skating ability is just, it's nice to have him back for moments, and then he's such a Jekyll and Hyde guy to me. Like, there's moments where you're like, he's so important, and there's other moments where I'm like, oh my God, get him off the ice. It's a hard thing to do.
Again, I think that the Leafs still have too much of the same on the blue line. That's all. Is that having those 3 guys, Liljegren, Sandin, and I know that Liljegren's been playing a little bit more physically this year. Sandin does it a little bit more often, but come on, let's be honest. Nobody's taking a puck battle off of that Pat Maroon line down there, right? No one's bullying Stamkos off a puck or Kucherov. Like, that's just not happening. And so, to me, it would still be really nice if they had the guy that Muzzin is supposed to be in theory, right? And they've been getting a lot of that from Giordano, but
God, he got blasted tonight.
He did, and this is I'm always reluctant to even say anything about it because he's been such a stud and he took that contract and it's incredible, but there's just a tiny bit of me that worries about him wearing down, and I think I have noticed more nights where he has looked a little bit more like he's just looked a little stiff on some nights and in a couple of moments, and that's understandable because he's 38, 39 years old. He's a warrior. He's a beast. He's just like the tone setter. I think that, if we're going to talk about Bunting here next, boy, this is going to be a long Leafs talk. I really do hope that there is a small part of Michael Bunting, even though he hasn't gotten paid in the NHL like Giordano has, that does look at Gio and does look at being home and does look at the opportunity that he has and thinks, maybe I'm not going to try to break the bank on this contract. Maybe it isn't. Maybe the priorities are going to be a little bit different for me. I've always said this, and people can laugh at it. I do think that playing in Toronto should matter. I'm sorry, it should. It matters here. You get to be relevant here. You get to be Michael Bunting and play at home in front of people, and people know who you are. Yeah, Bunting is playing very, very well with Matthews and with Nylander, and he's gotten to play with Matthews and Marner, and we've seen him down the lineup, and it's been very infrequent, but those minutes haven't exactly been overwhelming. Do I think he can play with good players? Absolutely. Do I think that a team scooping him up would be smart? Do I think that everybody in free agency generally gets overpaid? Absolutely, I do. To me, he's still the guy the Leafs need to squeeze. But let me just ask you this. Has his run of play as of late, just the way he continues to be such a solid contributor on that top line, drew the big penalty tonight, 2 goals, the patience in the slot on the second one, has he changed your opinion at all in terms of, hey, you can't just let this guy go and try to find somebody else to play with those stud players. You might need to keep him, even if it means overpaying a bit and going a little longer on term. No?
I'm terrified to pay him. Terrified.
Yeah, me too.
And I think I should maybe not terrified, not the right word.
Yeah,
but extremely apprehensive to pay him a lot of money. But I think his game is pretty simple. I don't think this is smoke and mirrors. If you play him with good players, he's going to produce. He's going to be able to do things. I don't think it's. But at what they're paying him right now, it's a ridiculous steal, obviously. But at what point does it not become that? And that's what you have to weigh, right? What's the number? What's it start with?
That's the thing.
I'm horrified if it starts with a 4, right? And that's probably what he's looking at. What do other guys get paid? And what is he going to be looking at back-to-back 50-point seasons where he's scoring a lot of goals and drawing penalties and he's in the mix every night? I'm really loving what he's given to the Leafs. And maybe, like, you're right, he's playing in Toronto. He's a Scarborough kid. How many better situations is he going to find himself anywhere than here? So you have to hope that he kind of takes that deal. But, like, who could blame him if some team's like, hey, man, you want to be really rich? And he's like,
Hyman.
yes, please. He's like, yes, please. I will be. Hyman's a perfect example. He was with the Leafs. They traded for him, identified him early. They developed
Toronto
him. They
guy.
turned him into a stud from Toronto. Like, it's a very, very, very similar situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really similar. So I like, he has a chance to be an all-time folk hero in Toronto if he takes less and stays here.
Yeah,
because
that's the pitch that I'm giving him.
People already love the guy. Like, he's already got that moniker of, just the sort of scrappy dude. Toronto loves that kind of guy. He's scoring big goals. He's playing with big players. He's in ads. Everyone seems to love him. If he just takes like a contract that starts with a 2 for, a few years, he would be revered forever. So it's what you want to do. And hey, if he wants to be rich, who could blame him? But it's going to be a really fascinating one to see what happens here.
Yeah. I think that if I'm the Leafs, I'm pitching to him, hey, like, can we figure something else that's in the 3-point highs and trying to get under the 4? That's always kind of where I've been with it, and saying, man, you'd be a legend to do it. The problem is that, like, here's where I'm at with it though. I will say this. I am maybe I'm crazy. I was actually called crazy because I projected Hyman's contract to be pretty close to what it was, and everyone went, there's no way a team's going to give that to him. I don't think Bunting is as valuable as Hyman. I don't. I just don't. We saw Hyman drive lines down a lineup before.
Yeah,
I think
and kill penalties, plays in every situation. Like,
exactly.
Hyman's a clearly better player than Michael Bunting.
That's what I'm saying. I'm still not convinced that unless the cap is actually going to go up in a significant way, that guy's going to get $5 million. But this is the weird spot the Leafs find themselves in. And I'm going to talk about this more on my podcast tomorrow. You've got Nylander and Matthews as pending free agents going into next year. And next year gets super weird, right? If the Leafs blow it this year. Like, if the Leafs just lose to Tampa in round 1, like, that happens, right? They lose to Tampa in round 1. Next year gets super strange. You just about have to. I think it's becoming pretty clear that you need to kind of keep running it back with the core unless there's a huge trade that becomes available. Like, or you find out, like, hey, Nylander's not going to resign, or you're not going to have enough money for these guys, so you flip somebody, right? It's going to be pretty hard for me to come off the idea that, they need to trade one of those 3 guys, especially given the way they're playing right now. Or you could make the case like they got 3 guys in the top 25, right? But if you let Bunting walk, then you're rolling the dice on a new guy in the final year of those two's deal.
That's what I mean. It's such a hard one.
It's such a, like, he's got some good leverage too. It's just,
Definitely. And the guys all adore him.
Dude, it's tricky, bro. It's tricky, buddy. It's really hard. Anyway, he was brilliant tonight.
So should we talk about Samsonov?
Yeah, let's close on, I think, the negative of the night. Unless there's, I'm gonna fly through my notes.
Dryden Hunt, noticeable.
I told you, I texted you. I like that Dryden Hunt does a different thing.
He's the exact Zach Aston Reese replacement. Like, he really is. He's Zach Aston Reese that's more noticeable. That's what he is. Like, he's a guy that's supposed to hit and play on your 4th line with 0 touch offensively.
Yeah.
But he just hits a little harder and he'll fight. So those are the differences. So yeah, I thought he was good tonight. Thought he was noticeable.
He's been clearly a little bit loose cannony. Oh, it was kind of funny that I do have it in my notes. It's kind of funny that Levo scored like a beautiful goal, and I went, of course. Any former Leaf just immediately.
How did I not bet $100 on that? That was the biggest lock of the century. What did I paid 10 to 1?
The way he scored it too, though, I was just like, oh, that was gorgeous. That was gorgeous with Josh Levo.
Also had always had that tantalizing size down the wing with a good snapper. There was always something there with him.
Yeah. I mentioned the team defense. We didn't really touch on exactly all of it, but yeah, how they shut it down in overtime. That Blues team looked like they ran out of gas a little bit in the end, and then had one little late push. But overall, just they're not that's the kind of team where I was talking about it on my podcast today. You're not it, okay? Like, your team is not it. You should be trying to shell everything, get everything off your roster immediately in order to get even a percentage of a lottery ball closer to Connor Bedard. Like, that is like an all-time regret. I feel a little bit the same way with the Raptors right now with Wembanyama, where I'm going, What are you doing? Like, what are you?
They might not have to strip parts. They suck enough.
Yeah, well,
They
yeah,
stink.
yeah,
Anyways, let's not go down that road. Let's talk about
they're
Samsonov.
no fun. Samsonov made a brilliant save in overtime that I'm watching right now on my phone. It's gorgeous. Sexy.
Robbery.
One of my favorite saves of the entire season.
Agreed. It was so nice.
The rest of the game, he kind of sucked.
Yeah.
The first goal of the game,
So
sure. Would you like Marner to be a little tougher on the puck? Okay, maybe you can you got to stop that, man. The second one is a bad bounce. It's not great. The other 3 goals is kind of like, hey, mix one in. And then the only period where he doesn't let in a goal is, again, the only one where St. Louis, I think, had 4, maybe 5 shots.
And their first shot, I think it was Kyrou, hit him square in the chest, and he spills it right into the slot.
I know, man.
So I was always concerned about this, even with the hot start. I remember having a conversation with you about like this flipping, and it's like, this guy has legitimately done the exact same thing every single year in his career. Started out incredibly hot, looked awesome.
Remember this conversations.
And then it completely flips. Like, it literally happens every single year. And it's happening again. It's happening again. And you have another goalie, so maybe you can give him a couple games off here. Maybe you can get him to reset. But it feels like, just as an observer watching it, I did watch him closely in Washington, obviously, but watching him here closely, it seems like when it goes, it's gone, right? Like, to me, it's just like it's disappeared. His last 4 games now, he has been awful, like really bad.
He's been doing the thing that you feared, which is letting in the bad goals.
Stinkers. Like, that's every game.
Yeah, stinker.
And he's swimming. He's swimming.
Been letting in stinker nights
for sure.
Too. Like,
listen, buddy, this is a horrifying situation. This is like this has gone from the best thing on the team to very scary very quickly. I'm not just saying it's Samsonov exclusive, but now I think, like, of the 2 goalies, Murray's obviously been the better one. Murray's got to get a run of games here. Like, Murray's got to, I think you got to go 2 in a row, maybe 3 in a row, Murray here, because it's pretty clear who the number 1 is, even though Murray hasn't been spectacular.
Well, you're definitely
himself.
going 2 in a row. You're definitely going 2 in a row because you're going to go Kraken Thursday and you're going to go Detroit Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% going to happen. I still don't think that they're going to be running them out there 3 in a row. And I get the sense that they like Samsonov, like, in the room, and they don't want to lose him, right? And I think that this has been kind of one of his issues in the past, is that he's a bit of a head game guy. He's got a little bit of that Jack Campbell.
Big time.
Gets down on himself pretty hard and kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve type of.
He's even funny in the media. Like, he's kind of lovable. He's Russian Jack Campbell. He really is.
So I think that it's really tough in a regular season, man. Like, again, you got to remember, as weird as it feels, given how many hours of this we've done, we're not even at the 41 game mark. I think tonight was 38, maybe 30 somewhere.
Dog days, buddy.
Yeah, we're in the dog days, right? And the points are going to matter for the Leafs, no doubt about it. But given where you can't trust Matt Murray staying healthy, so you can't run him into the ground. You can't overexpose him to an injury, so you need Samsonov for that. And unless you think Shalgren or Wool is coming up and giving you something, then no, you got to stick with it. And you cannot, again, if you're this team, you're looking at your goaltenders saying, these guys have shown that they can be just as good as anybody on the right night. There's no way you're going into a deadline and failing like a injury to Matt Murray or just complete stink pile play.
No, these are the guys.
That's what I'm saying. And so you gotta keep rolling with them, man. I think that the formula just has to stay the same. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. And you ride that pretty much until Samsonov becomes an actual issue, to the point where they just go, okay, we're going with Shaw. Like, he'd have to play so horrifically bad.
What's his save percentage at now? Like, it was at like 930.
He's still in the 9. Yeah, I think I will honestly say that I'm guessing that Samsonov is still in the 920s.
So would he, if I gave you him finishing with 905 this year, would you take it?
9 what?
05.
Yeah, he'll finish over 905 because the Leafs are too good team defensively. Like, they're going to have nights. They're going to have nights, man, where he, like, don't forget, he got 2 shutouts in a row not too long ago. I don't want to get trapped in the moment too much. It just, he's looked kind of shaky.
To me, it's not the moment, though. There's a track record. This guy is like, he's the reverse Freddie Anderson.
No, but I'd bet you.
Freddie Anderson stink bomb every October. We're like, gotta trade him. Then he's the best guy in the league. It's like the reverse.
I'd happily put a unit down that he finishes over 905. Like I wouldn't even hesitate. Like at even money, I wouldn't even like
Okay.
that's a no-brainer bet to me. You'd have to.
I'm not betting
legit.
I don't want it to happen. I'm just asking you.
Like if you would like
just
that
asking
bet,
the question.
Yeah, if you would like that bet right now, I would happily take it. I would happily take that action. I'm happy to be the book for anybody that wants to take that action. You can get at me at JD Bunkis, Twitter and Instagram. Slide in the DMs. Let's wrap this sucker up. I don't have anything else, I think.
All good, buddy. Happy to be back.
Yeah, so we'll be back on live stream on Thursday, then obviously again Saturday nights. This was a weird one. We're just working our way back with a ton of people on vacation. This has just been kind of, that's why Leafs Talk went away, is just you were in a different country, Bourne was in a different country. I was just trying to get out of the hellscape.
You're stuck behind the stink bombs on a plane.
Yeah, we got our boy Sis, our producer, is out of the country. Like we had too many people, and now our station is stretched thin. We couldn't get up for live tonight, but we will be live Thursday. And then it's just going to be back in regular rotation order moving forward here down the stretch run. So, yeah, we love all you that were patient. Thanks so much for all the people that messaged me. And, sneaky little late shout out to got a lot of industry people who sent me messages like, where's Leafs Talk? I'm trying to do some prep.
Industry people. Oh, they're looking for some takes. Eh?
Oh, buddy. Leafs Talk. Hey, you would be surprised.
Oh,
at the
looking for some takes.
You would be surprised. And you know what I love about this?
Digging for takes.
And you know what I love about this? Every single one of them right now that's done it, if they're watching it all the way to the end, they're going, oh, not. Why do you have to? Pish posh. And guess what? You all know who you are. All right.
Oh, I love it.
And anyway, I love you guys too. Just make sure that you leave 5 stars, guys and gals. How about that, guys and gals? How about you just leave 5 stars, leave a little review for the fellas, and we'll call it even for all the hard work that the boys are doing. Kraken, red hot Kraken. I can't. I'm excited to see the Kraken. I'm ready to see yours. Yeah, the Squids. My Squids. I got a hat.
Yeah, they're a good hat.
I might wear my hat in the pregame show.
Oh, dirty.
Yeah, right where I rock it. See this beauty though?
Yeah, I have a matching one?
Oh, you do.
Oh,
you got to get it. I should have brought it over.
Let's wrap this up, buddy.
Yeah, all right. We'll see you. It's Leafs Talk. Follow at JD Bunkis, at Sam McKee, Twitter and Instagram, and leave a review, subscribe to the podcast. And we'll see you on YouTube on Thursday night. See ya.
Bye.